was born September 15, 1914 in Monticello, Georgia, and her parents were Sarah Clemens and Clemens Roberts and Jimmy Ned Roberts, and she was the second of 6 children. From what I've read, Miss Hill's mother taught her the first grade at home because it was hard for black children to get an education at that time. She graduated she graduated from Urbana High School and from beauty school in Michigan, where she met and married her husband Samuel Hill. After returning to Champaign, Urbana, Mrs. Hill continued her education at the University of Illinois. She received an associate degree from Parkland College at the age of 51. In 1957, Mrs. Frances Nelson became too ill to oversee the operation of the Frances Nelson Home for Children, located in Carver Park, so Mrs. Hill became the supervisor. After returning home from Liberia, West Africa, where she had her husband live for a year, Miss Hill works for the new Head Start program as a center supervisor. She retired after 13 years of loving education. Many children who communicated with her while she lived. Mrs. Hill was a licensed daycare provider and a foster parent. She retired from the profession at the age of 81. Mrs. Hill was proud mother of Diane Mitchell, deceased, Shirley Hill, deceased, and James Hill, who at one time was the organist of Bethel. She was blessed to have many foster children who called her mother. I am still researching Mrs. Fern Forney, who was who was a dedicated member of Bethel Church and Head Start. I do know Miss Fern Forney was a nurse at Birmingham Hospital. She was a head drum majorette in high school, so I will have more later. I also learned that Miss Estelle Mayfield was the first African American drum majorette. Deborah Banks was a drum major for Champaign Central, and Roxanne Barnes was University of Illinois drum major. Wow, all out of this church. Leon C. Lomax.
Wait a minute.